Financial Survival Network, helping you survive and thrive in the new economy. Go to carrylutz.com and sign up for 30 free micro trainings on financial survival.
1490 WGCH. This is Kerry Lutz. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. If you're wondering how high the price of oil can go, if you're wondering what's going on with treasuries, why rates are going up and demand is slumping, well, there's only one person to talk to, and that's Ranting Andy Hoffman at Miles Franklin. Andy, welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. I'm pleased to know I'm the only person to ask about these questions.
Well, you're the only one that's on the line with me right now. I'm sure I could think of somebody else, you know. I don't know if they'd come on the show. So we got you now. That's the important thing. And what's your take on what's going on here?
Well, the most important take is that, and I've been now writing about this incessantly for some time, the complete and utter takeover of all financial markets by the government, aided, of course, by the luck of having Apple become an internet stock, which is now something like 15% of the NASDAQ. So in my mind, it's become kind of a surrogate PPT on the technology side. But in the big picture of things, we are seeing just continued deterioration of Europe. We are seeing continued deterioration in the United States. We are now seeing the double ominous twins of exploding oil prices. And I don't need to tell anyone on this line, I don't care if you live in the United States or Canada or Europe or anywhere, that we hit record all-time global gasoline prices several weeks ago. And since that time, oil prices have surged. I know the price at my pump down the street is almost up to where it was last summer, and we haven't even gotten to the driving season. Now, what came out this weekend, actually, it came out Friday afternoon, before the markets even closed. The Israeli cabinet voted 8-6 to bomb Iran at some point in the near future. And this is going to continue to drive oil prices into the stratosphere. The other major piece of news, and again, ignore the stock market, it's meaningless. The other major piece of news is the Treasury bond market. And for those of you who don't know how to really watch it, you can just look at the ticker TLT. It's an ETF, which gauges an average duration 20-year Treasury bond. It's been plummeting. And again, this is a nation that has $15.7 trillion of debt, most of it short term, and it needs to refinance another trillion or two each year. And I've heard that each percent increase in Treasury interest rates is something like several $100 billion of interest. So if the Fed, which has been monetizing something like 60% of all Treasury purchases, including something like 90% on the long end, can't keep the market down, they're going to really have to hyperinflate to prevent the inevitable explosion of interest rates.
So you don't think it's so goes Apple, so goes the world? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, and again, it's very fortuitous for the government that Apple is turning into an internet stock. Again, I can't imagine who's buying it if it costs $600 a share. But Apple, in some ways, has become a surrogate PPT in that it now is something like 15% of the NASDAQ. And it helps them to give this impression that everything is okay when it's not. I really don't give a rat's arse about what happens with Apple. It's not going to change the business outlook for the United States, the financial outlook for Europe, or the exponential decline of the fiat currencies.
And when you talk about exponential decline of fiat currencies, what benefits from that?
Gold and silver, my friend.
What a shocker there, huh? And yet the market, it's responding to classic suppression schemes. And by the way, I interviewed somebody else, and the person said, well, I don't want to lead it to conspiracy. I don't want to talk about that. And I got like a nasty email from a really dedicated listener saying, you should challenge him. You know, you should say that it's a conspiracy. And I believe it's a conspiracy. But if he doesn't want to say it, I'm not gonna back him up against the wall. He doesn't want to say it. That's fine. But you and I, hey, we're men here. We can both admit that this is a conspiracy to suppress precious metals, right?
But you know what? Well, first of all, people like that will never change. In fact, I'd be surprised if they even change when the whole thing comes apart, because they'll still be Pollyanna, listening to whatever, garbage comes out of the government, how things are going to be better. But the fact is, I hate the word conspiracy, just like I hate the word gold bugs. Gold bugs is some negative connotation when all it means is people who believe that gold is real money, which it always has been. Fiat currency has not been. And conspiracy implies that you are guessing about something going on behind the scenes. But the fact is, look, I'm an analyst, I'm a realist. Everything that I've said and done has to do with fact. The fact that gold and silver have been suppressed. There are just countless admissions from the Bank of England, from the Federal Reserve, from the banks themselves. The fact that the CFTC won't after 4 years say anything about this ongoing investigation. There is nothing conspiratorial about it. There are plenty of conspiracies out there, and believe me, in my world, I hear plenty of them, particularly about this, the elites and the Bilderbergs. And yes, I realize that these people are out there, and yes, they would like to take over the world and all that. But when you're talking about stuff like that, you are speculating about what people you don't know might be saying. There is zero proof in the record of what they're doing. There is tons of proof as to what's going on in the gold and silver markets. And there is a reason for it. It is a major reason, because the game will end without that suppression. It'll end anyway, but it'll end tomorrow if they take their foot off the pedal.
Exactly. And I don't mean to, I think what you're talking about there is conspiracy theory. And this guy, very savvy, he knows what's going on. I'm saying conspiracy in the classic legal term that there's an agreement by a number of persons/entities to manipulate and control the price of precious metals. And there, like you said, the evidence is irrefutable, and you just have to watch the tape when there's a raid taking place, like the last one, like the Leap Day massacre, and you see there's not even a question.
You're mixing up your attacks. It was the Leap Day violation, and then we had the FOMC mutilation 2 weeks later. But when you talk about these, again, conspiracies, it was only about a week ago where a trader on the CME was actually penalized for manipulating palladium and platinum futures.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how anyone could believe that platinum and palladium, which are really difficult to manipulate, there's not much of a market to work with, but that gold and silver, which have major catalysts for doing so, and are clearly fragmented by 100 times the amount of paper of the physical, to believe that they are not, but that palladium and platinum are, is just incredible.
Yeah, totally. And the whole futures exchanges, to me, if you're not a professional, you're guaranteed to lose your money there. You cannot make money unless you're a pro. And I've seen it over and over again. The few forays I've made into there, it's like I should have just gone to Atlantic City or Vegas and put it on red or black and let the ball fall into the wheel, because actually I had a better chance in those places, because you're guaranteed you will lose money unless you really know what you're doing there. I don't know anybody who isn't a professional that has regularly made money on those exchanges. I don't think it can be done.
Yeah, well, I'll take it a step further and say that given the now completely taken over market by the government, you can't make money in any paper market, whether you short or go long. I mean, yeah, you can try to go along with the PPT until something happens, because clearly the fundamentals are against what they are, doing with the stock markets. And as for the COMEX itself, we've had declining open interest for years. And the point is that people are not doing it anymore. They are leaving and going elsewhere because they lose. The people who buy, for instance, gold 2 weeks ago at 1790, because it finally broke out of that massive resistance at 1750, look up a day later and it's 1630. And that's why no one should be playing these games anymore. It's all rigged, and the only game you're going to win is the physical game.
Yeah, that's it, because physical, there's no emotion in the physical, or at least if there is emotion, the emotion's with you, the physical's locked away, and you have to go get it out, and then it becomes a real pain to go sell it. Obviously it could be done. I could send it off to Miles Franklin and do that, but the fact that you can't click a mouse and sell your physical, makes it so much more insulated from emotional highs and lows and manipulation. And eventually, considering everything we've discussed here, that's going to be the real currency. All the other currencies are going to fail. And it doesn't matter what country has issued those currencies. They are all going to fail, right?
When you have gold and silver and they go down, let's say they hit $100 in a day like they did last week, your holdings don't change. You still own 100 ounces of gold or 10 ounces of gold or whatever. It doesn't change a whit. If you own shares of stock and they get whacked by 10%, your account is down $50,000, $100,000. That's not money that's going to come back. I mean, it may come back, it may not come back. And that's the whole point. When you're owning physical, your holdings don't change when the cartel attack. When you own stock, damn right they do. If you have an account at Charles Schwab or Fidelity or Morgan Stanley, you look up and that money is gone. And anyone who's been in, for instance, the mining shares for the past 5 years can't say anymore, oh, yeah, they'll come back, because they don't come back. They may, but they haven't. And there's a good chance that they never will, because I can't emphasize enough, when it comes to mining shares, there is an unlimited amount of supply. When it comes to GLD, SLV, COMEX futures, don't listen to any of the statistics. Don't read what they tell you. I'm telling you, until this game ends, there will be an unlimited supply of mining shares, GLD shares, and COMEX futures, no matter what you read on the COMEX or with Andrew Maguire or the CFTC. It ain't happening. It's going to end when the physical market overwhelms the paper market. End of story.
And that is going to happen, isn't it?
Of course. It's mathematical certainty.
It's just a question of when, not if. So stick to the physical. And speaking of physical, I ordered some silver from you guys about a week ago. Shot you off a wire. And sitting on my desk today when I got into my office was a nice little package for me. And can't express how unusual that is. A lot of places you order from, they could take 30, 45 days, even for a small shipment like I did. And that's good service, you know?
And look, as the time has gone on in my physical purchasing career, prices become less and less of an issue. To me, the most important of all issues is that when you order something, you know if it's in stock and you know it'll be delivered. And that's what Miles Franklin takes pride in. Not that all the other bullion dealers don't, but some, are less good in that aspect. And I'm very proud of Miles Franklin, because we make sure that we work with our customers and that they know very well what they're getting into.
Yeah, and I've had experience. And by the way, just full disclosure, Miles Franklin is a sponsor and welcomed. And I've had experience where stuff took 45 days. And I'm thinking, well, are they playing the futures market on my money here? They don't have it. And they bought an option because now they know that they have to sell it. And I'm just always questioning whether they're just using me as a play. And in a week, that obviously can't be the case. So it's just an important thing that regardless who you buy from, you want that stuff sent to you quickly. You don't want to wait around a month, because who knows what's going to happen in a month. The way the markets are now, they're totally insane. And it could go up, and then you've always got the option to cancel that order from these places, but you cancel it and you get a refund at the price you paid. And when's that refund coming? Just better to get the stuff and not have to worry about will they ship or won't they.
Yeah, ultimately what's going to happen, what's going to end this, I shouldn't say end the bull market, but end your ability to participate in it, is going to be when we run out of supply. And it's happened several times before. It happened twice last year, in May of 2011 on the upside with silver, and then on September of 2011 in silver on the downside, when the cartel lost control of the upside and when they try to knock it down too far. The same thing is going to happen, maybe later this year in both gold and silver. And when they do, you better make sure you know who you're dealing with, because sometimes people, let you give orders without telling you exactly what the inventory situation is.
Yeah, and that's a question I get from a lot of the newbie buyers is, man, you mean to tell me I have to send my money to these guys before they send it to me? And the answer is, yeah, like, what do you expect? you know, you're probably not going to want to buy this on a credit card and pay 3 to 5% more. You know, you're going to have to pay in advance. So you damn well better trust who it is you're dealing with, because there's stories out there of people getting burned, especially like in the numismatic market, where the stuff never gets sent to them. And bullion's not the kind of thing you can generally go down to the corner store, at least not yet, and purchase. So it's just an important thing, regardless who you buy from. You got to know that they've got the product in stock and when they're going to ship it, or don't get it. I mean, it's that simple.
And equally important, to add to this point, I encourage people to call Miles Franklin or other dealers or anywhere, because look, there's a lot of people who are transitioning in their minds from thinking of dollars as savings to gold and silver, and they really need to educate themselves about how the process works. My newsletter, David Sheckman's newsletter, are helping to educate people about what's really going on in the gold and silver markets, whereas the other part of the education is to learn what it's like to buy gold and silver, how it works, what, like you said, the deposits, the order times, the products. Educate yourself on these things. Please call me, email me. I'm happy to answer these questions.
Yeah. You really, if you're going to go shopping, when you talk to them, you say, what's your price? And make sure you're comparing oranges and oranges and apples. And then, when are you going to ship it? Because if they're saying more than 10 days, you should be wary. So anyway, Andy, speaking of emailing you, what's your email address out there?
It's ahoffman@milesfranklin.com, and you can go on our website, milesfranklin.com, and sign up for my free daily newsletter.
All right, and hey, we'll catch you next week. Definitely interesting times. And we're gonna really see what this cartel is made of, I think, in the next couple of weeks. I just have this feeling. I put it in my newsletter, which you can get at kerrylutz.com. I just have this foreboding feeling, Andy, that something really bad is going to happen because of the ferocity of the last couple of raids on gold and silver. They were unlike anything I had witnessed before. No effort to cover it up or anything. It was out there, blatant, for anybody who wanted to look.
Yeah, and I read your piece, which made sense to me, and also it jives with what I've been writing about the physical crises, as I call them, because they've been so intense and so much narrower time intervals, which show to me an incredible amount of stress. I mean, the obvious answer is something that has to do with Iran, because they're basically shouting it out. But that said, there's so many other pitfalls that could happen at any given time, and you can't go off your guard for a second, getting mesmerized by Apple Computer and the Dow Jones propaganda average.
Yeah, I see a swarm of black swans approaching.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're supposed to be rare, but I see them becoming the norm. That's what we're seeing here. That's what that raid told me, is that there's something really, really bad. And I mentioned in that newsletter, I was watching the markets when stock markets really functioned as stock markets leading up to 9/11. And I said to my friend that this thing is trading like we're in a war. And I never thought about anything. I had no prediction. It just reminded me of a formation that happened right prior to like the 6 months before World War I erupted. And that's the kind of formation we're seeing here in this market, in the gold and silver market. We can't really make it out because it's so manipulated, but it's there. It's an accumulation pattern that's obfuscated by the constant interventions, but you could see the accumulation. It has picked up, and when they knock the price down, it just increases the accumulation. Nobody's selling, but the accumulation, I feel those charts are telling us, has really, really picked up, Andy. Like you can't even believe it's picked up.
And 2 points, again, on the physical side at Miles Franklin, we don't get almost any buybacks from clients. I mean, I'm talking about going back for months, even years, of probably 1% of all of our business is clients actually selling something to us. And I assure you, most of the time when they do, it's because they need the money, not because they're speculating that the bull market is over. But if you want to talk about charts, again, I take a lot of stock in long-term charts, And those massive, massive reverse head and shoulders bottoms that are just completing in gold and silver are some of the most ominously bullish things I've ever seen. And it's not the first time that long-term massive cup and handle, pennant, and reverse head and shoulders have formed in gold and silver because of the manipulation. The odds of something like that breaking down are infinitesimal. And, as you say, it looks like something is in the works. And if you look at those charts, not to mention the gigantic flag formation on the euro gold, with good reason, it's time to start thinking hard about how you're invested.
The way I look at it, Andy, higher gold and silver prices, you're only one gas tank away.
That's right.
So consider that, and we will catch you next weekend. Always a pleasure. Have a profitable week ahead.
Thanks very much. You too.